on the Israeli attack on a UN school in Nusayret refugee camp in Gaza over the weekend. UNRWA also said its headquarters in Gaza has been completely destroyed in an attack. What is your reaction, and do you think Israel is targeting UNRWA sites intentionally?
So one of the things the Secretary did when he met with Ron Dermer and the National Security Advisor Hanegbi earlier today was to express our serious concern about the recent civilian casualties in Gaza. As I've noted before, we have seen civilian casualties come down from the high points of the conflict and even from where they were, say, 6 weeks, 2 months ago, but they still remain unacceptably high. We continue to see far too many civilians killed in this conflict. We want to see civilian casualties completely ended. It's why we are pushing so hard to a ceasefire, but even in advance of a hopeful ceasefire, we want to see Israel do more to reduce civilian casualties. Now, with respect to that strike, Israel has claimed that they were targeting militants who were inside that site. They do have the right to target militants.
Does that justify attacking on civilians?
No, that's what I'm just saying. We do, but no, of course it does not justify any attacks on civilians. We don't want to see any attacks on civilians. We don't want to see any civilian deaths. So, as always, this is the difficult thing in this conflict when you see militants who continue to hide in schools, in mosques, in hospitals, in other facilities. It makes the challenge that Israel faces incredibly difficult, but no, we don't want to, there's nothing that justifies attacks on civilians. No, Sam, go ahead.
And did Hanegbi and Dermer give the Secretary any update as to if the strike actually killed a top Hamas commander?
They do not have certainty yet.
They don't. Did you expect that they will eventually have certainty on this one, or is this one where
I can't say expect. I think they certainly hope to have certainty, and we would hope that they have certainty, but they don't. They don't yet.
Okay, and can I just pivot to one thing still on Israel? But my CNN international colleagues reported over the weekend that commanders of the Israeli military battalion, the Israeli Netza Yehuda, have been promoted to IDF positions and are running operations in Gaza now. I ask about it because obviously this is one of those battalions that was accused of gross human rights violations committed before October 7th, but the United States didn't make a decision as to whether or not you guys are going to restrict U.S. military assistance that could get to that battalion. So I just wonder if you guys have a response to the fact that now some of these former officials part of this command are now in Gaza, and if you've talked to Israeli officials about that at all.
We have been talking to Israeli officials about this unit as part of our ongoing review and asking them for information and receiving information and getting that and reviewing it. I'm not aware of any conversations as of yet. They may have happened, and I'm not aware of them about people who were formerly of that unit that have gone on to other positions.
So you don't know if the U.S. government was made aware or not that they were going to go on to positions in the IDF and in Gaza?
I don't.
Okay, and I mean, like timeline here, I mean, this, you guys made this determination more than almost 3 months ago now. The Secretary said that you guys were engaging to identify an effective remediation path for this unit.
I don't have a timeline. We want to resolve it as expeditiously as possible, but we're continuing to engage with the government of Israel about what effective remediation measures might look like, and that's a process that's ongoing.
And are they providing you all with the information you've asked for?
They have provided us with information. I can't speak to the full status of where that stands and what, when it comes to getting information from them, but they have provided us some information, yes. Gita.
Thank you, Matt. There's a group of American Iranians outside this building today protesting to what they're saying very long delay in the processing of their family members' visa applications, different types of visas, obviously. And they're saying that they're hearing of others who have put in applications much later than them, and those people are processed and they've received their visas, however, not these people. Is priority being given to any certain group of visa applicants?
So I can't speak to those questions with any specificity. As you know, visa records are confidential under law, under U.S. law. But I can say that we review and act on all visa applications as quickly as we can, but it's important that we are thorough in that review. Visa applicants have to undergo a thorough security screening. That's part of the process, as well as other measures. And so that's the process we have to go through. I know it's sometimes frustrating for people. Oftentimes we can't explain the delays that there are in acting on any one applicant's status or their application, but it's something that we try to do as quickly as we can, but not at the expense of sacrificing thoroughness.
You did say you cannot explain, and that's one of their major
yeah.
grievances. Well, at least tell us, what's going on, so we either know it's one way or another, yes or no, or if they need to do something.
I certainly understand the difficult situation that people are in when they have applications that are pending and they want to either, of course, first priority is to see them approved, and absent being approved, they just want an answer. All I can say from here is that we do act as quickly as possible, but sometimes it's a difficult process. There is security screening that we have to go through and other steps, and so we take those measures as quickly as we can, but our first priority is to make sure that we're thorough. Yeah,
to the region. Did the secretary discuss with the Israeli officials the delivery of arms to Israel, and is there any update regarding the 2,000-pound bombs?
I don't have any readout with respect to that potential discussion about that. It is something that often comes up in those meetings, but no, there is no update with the delivery of the 2,000-pound bombs. That shipment remains paused and under review.
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Matt. A couple of questions. It's very nice to hear State Department talk about the political violence. Last week in Pakistan, similar comment you had made was taken out of perspective a little bit because President Trump has been shot as well and Imran Khan was shot as well. But over there, the reaction was not the way it is in the US. So my first question is that Supreme Court of Pakistan, most of the judges favored Imran Khan. The guy was shot. Political violence in the US, all 1,000 people, 600 pleaded guilty, 400 were charged, punishment was given. Foreign minister is charged today in the similar violence that happened in Pakistan a year or 2 years, more than a year after the political violence happened over there, and he's charged today. The political party is being banned of Imran Khan. Today, the government has decided that. Your entire Congress has decided to rule in that favor. And I have been asking you these things for a year and a half, these same questions. But over there, you are not making the comments that you make here for democracy, political. Why is that?
So I guess I'm missing what the actual question was.
So the question is that with an ally like Pakistan, why do you not have the same feelings of either political violence or democracy or the rule of law?
So I think you have missed the very many times I have addressed this exact question from this podium, where I have said, of course, we abhor political violence in any country, including Pakistan, and have spoke out against it and condemned it. And we support the rule of law in Pakistan and every country in the world. And we want to see respect for democratic principles and people's fundamental human rights and democratic rights upheld. That's true in Pakistan. It's true everywhere in the world. That's been something I've spoken to many times. So I think the premise of the question with respect is wrong. Go ahead.
So just one more
Come to you next, Ryan.
question. Matt, just one more, please.
Yeah, go ahead.
In Pakistan, there was a funeral procession of an Afghan poet. He was killed in Islamabad. In Pakistan, there's 1 million Afghans. I've always spoken in the favor of Afghans. But last week what I saw, and there are 50,000 Afghans with the US wants to pull out as well. There was a funeral procession from Islamabad to his native village in Waziristan. And the entire way, thousands of Afghans were holding Afghanistan flags, chanting against the serving military, political, every leadership you can imagine. And then people from Voice of America, staff members of Voice of America were spreading that on the social media. So two related questions. Are you in the favor of Pakistan taking some stern actions against those Afghans, whether it's deportation or, and if you would be interested in moving these 50,000 Afghans with the US wants from Pakistan? And lastly, Voice of America is a state-run entity. I do not understand how they take interest in local politics.
So I will just say, with respect to the specific incident to which you're referring, I'm not aware of it, so I can't possibly comment on it. Ryan, go ahead.
Wait a second. You're going to let that stand? Voice of America is a state-run organization?
I've already noted that I disagreed with a number of the premises. They are
Well, you wanted-
funded by the United States, but of course they have
Funded by the U.S. Congress.
the U.S. Congress, but they have complete editorial independence.
Quick question on the point that he was making, that the Pakistan Supreme Court did recently
Yeah.
rule that about 20 seats or so ought to be delivered to the PTI. The government then responded by banning Imran Khan's party rather than kind of moving in the direction that the court was acknowledging. So in the past, the State Department has said this is a matter for the Pakistani courts to work out. Is it still a matter for the Pakistani courts? Do you disagree with the government's intervention there?
So I will say that we saw those public statements from the government. Our understanding is this is the beginning of what will be a complex political process, but certainly banning a political concern is something, or a political party is something that would be of great concern to us.
Right. Okay, quick follow-up on Cuba.
Yeah.
We've talked to some Cuban business owners in the wake of the State Department moving them off of the list of people who are not helpful what is it? The list was states that are not helpful in combating terrorism. They were removed from that. The business owners in Cuba are saying that because Cuba is still on the state sponsor of terrorism list, that it's harder for them to do business with European countries, with other Latin American countries, than it was even during the Trump administration. Is the State Department still looking at this before the end of Biden's first term?
I just don't have any updates on that process. Sorry. Yeah, Alex, go ahead.
Thank you, Matt. Two topics. Ukraine. There are reports that Ukrainian leaders walked away frustrated the summit after the U.S. refused the latest request in terms of launching using American weapons to strike inside Russia. Why would the United States not allow them to hit back inside Russia? They believe that striking those launches would help them save lives in the first place.
So first of all, I don't know what reports you're referring to, but I will say that we had incredibly productive discussions with President Zelensky and with other members of the Ukrainian government when they were here last week for the Washington summit. And as part of those discussions, we talked about NATO's irreversible path to NATO, and Ukraine's irreversible path to NATO and the progress that they are making along that path. We talked about the delivery of F-16s to Ukraine, which is underway. We talked about the fact that we are providing them additional air defense systems, something that President Zelensky had specifically asked for, and that we were able to do both from our own stocks and from marshaling the coalition that we have assembled all around the world. With respect to the question, the president actually got this question at his press conference last week and spoke to it quite directly. We have allowed Ukraine to use American-made weapons, American-provided weapons, to strike just across the border where they are taking incoming fire from Russia, but we have decided at this point not to expand beyond that. But that said, you just look at the actions I outlined a moment ago that we took last week, and add those to the actions we have taken for the past 2+ years to support the defense of Ukraine. And I think the suggestion that we are somehow not committed to Ukraine's defense is in every way belied by the actual facts and our actual record.
When the president was asked about that, his response was about the capabilities to strike Moscow. That's not what we're talking about. The question is, why not allow them to strike launch sites?
We have decided that that is not an appropriate step for the United States to take now at this time. But that doesn't change the fact that we have provided Ukraine with significant capabilities to launch attacks against the Russian troops that are that continue their aggression against Ukraine, that we have provided them with the ability to strike across the border, and of course that we have provided them significant air defenses, which really is what we're talking about here. When you have this question about strikes inside Russia, a lot of it relates to Russia's ability to launch assaults that then missiles and other weapons